Have you ever bought a board game when your spouse said no? Have you ever won a game on an insane dice roll? Have you ever killed a dragon using only chopsticks? Have you ever paid an elf to watch your kids? Can you roll the dice while eating 3 Hot Pockets at the same time? Can you ride a panda across the plains of Doo-Dee-Dooey? Can you stop an evil wizard from destroying your village? Can you summon a creature to do your chores? Can you muster the strength to carry a group to victory? Can you be the chosen one all the way up to bedtime? Have you ever dared to say no and betray your alliance? Have you ever accused a friend of being a traitor when it was you all along? Well, we haven't done most of those things either, but we are willing to try. Join us as we explore the world of board gaming and all the crazy things that come with it. Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night Podcast.
Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night Podcast, a podcast about tabletop games, mostly board games. With me, as always, is Matt.
Hi.
And Rob.
Hello, hello.
And today we have a special guest, Isaac Vega, the game designer at Plaid Hat Games. Isaac, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, Internet. My name is Isaac Vega, and I can hear something in my... All right. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. I can hear everything we're saying back at me.
Weird.
It's like an echo.
Nice.
Yeah.
Pretty much exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry about that. Now I'm back.
Yeah.
So with us tonight...
But whatever.
With us tonight is Isaac.
I'm Isaac Vega. I work at Plaid Hat Games. I am the lead designer, and I'm also the art director at Plaid Hat Games. And that's pretty much what I do. I do a lot of other things too.
Nice.
That sounds exciting.
What are some of the games that you've designed or worked on?
There we go. I found this. Some of the games that I've designed or worked on, the first game that I ever worked on was City Remnants, and that was my first release at Plaid Hat Games. That came out about 2 years ago now.
Yep.
Second release was BioShock Infinite. Third was Dead of Winter, and recently, not that long ago, was Video Game High School, and now Ashes is currently on pre-order and going to be releasing at Gen Con. So 5 games, all for Plaid Hat.
Oh my goodness, that's super exciting.
Thank you.
Awesome. So tonight we're going to be talking to Isaac about some of the games, some of the things going on, some design ideas and things like that. But first we're going to talk about some games that we've been playing. So who would like to start that?
I'll start off.
Perfect.
We played Castle Panic while we were in Disney World. We played Spectre Ops, and we also played Castle Panic. Castle Panic is a complete co-op game. There's no traitor or a backstabbing mechanic or anything. Everybody works together, so everybody wins or everybody loses. But long story short, you are defending 6 towers in a castle, and you have to defeat all of the goblins before they destroy all 6 towers, or you lose the game. It's a very easy game. It's a good intro game. I was playing with my wife and our best friends, his wife and him, and so we made it a little easy so the girls would get along and everyone could play. The only thing I don't like about the game is I think with the more people you play with, the easier it is, because it is a complete co-op. Like if I needed something, like let's say it's my turn, there's 3 different sections. There's a blue section, a red section, a green section. I can be like, hey, Isaac, I need a green archer. And because he can give it to me. Well, that makes it a little easy, because pretty much when we played with everybody that we played with, everybody had something that we could use. We never got close to losing at all. We played about 3 times. It was fun. They have come out with a couple of expansions. I do want to pick up the new Dark Titan. I'll probably get it when I'm at Gen Con. They say that makes it more of a gamer's game. But it was fun. We had a good time. But pretty easy game. I would recommend it if you're trying to get people into co-op games. It's a great intro into co-op games.
Does it scale up with the number of players, or is it basically the same?
No, it's basically the same. I just think it's actually easier with the number of players because every player
You have more
draws
variety.
Yeah, you have more variety. Now, sometimes you can draw a token where everyone loses all their knights, or everyone loses all their swordsmen or archers, but there's only like 3 or 4 of those in the whole box, and the likelihood that all of those are going to be chosen on one round is next to none. And so it just seemed easy because we could all help each other. So it was still fun. Everyone had a good time. Everyone really enjoyed it. But Castle Panic.
Nice.
Yeah.
So for my game, we at our Friday game night, we streamed a live game of Epic Battlelore 2nd Edition. So they don't actually have official rules for Battlelore Epic version. So normally Battlelore is a 2-player game where you're playing against each other, playing these command cards with these fantasy creatures, trying to claim objectives to get victory points. The first person to 15 wins, and you're like army building, sort of like a miniature style game. We played the Epic variant from 1st Edition, which makes it 6 players, so that one person's sitting in the middle and they're giving commands to the people on both sides. And it was 100-point teams instead of just 50-point teams, so there was just way more creatures. I was using a bunch of the creatures from the new expansions that just came out. But yeah, it was pretty crazy. It's basically a dice fest, but there's a decent amount of like strategy in trying to like figure out which units you're going to put up on the objectives to try to defend them and things like that.
Yeah.
Did you come up with the idea for Epic Battlelore, or was it something you saw online, or is it really an actual option?
So the 1st edition actually has like rules for Epic Battlelore. So this is the 2nd edition of the game where Fantasy Flight took the Battlelore system and put it in their Tyranoth setting, which is like their fantasy world, and had like the factions from like that world. So they kind of like reskinned it. It was already fantasy, but they reskinned it in like their fantasy. But they had like an expansion for the original Battlelore, and I just took some of the rules from that and kind of like made my own board and just used the rules from 1st edition, and it worked pretty good. Just because
it was actually really smooth. You know, aside from who was controlling our side, it was. Other than that, everything was going fine. But you know, it's what it is.
That's pretty awesome. I have yet to play Battlelore. I've been wanting to play it since it came out because it just looks awesome. And man, I just have yet to. We have it here at the office.
That's awesome.
And have yet to break it open and actually play it. The biggest problem here at Plaid Hat Games is we need people to teach us to play other people's games because we refuse to learn.
We're on the way.
Let's say, dude, I'll come down there. I'll teach you how to play all the games.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great. That was the biggest loss that we had from moving from Ohio to Texas. We had our friend Bob who taught us everything, and now he's not here with us anymore.
I love that his name is Bob.
I've heard a few of the Plaid Hat guys have a little bit of issues with attention span.
Oh yeah, I'm terrible. You need to get me in the game within 5 minutes, or you've lost me. At that point, I'm just gonna go ahead and start making up, and then people will yell at me that I did something wrong, and then we'll move forward. From
we
there.
Definitely have some people in our group that are like that. It's like yes. You're teaching the rules. It's like, hey, look at this meme, or hey, check out this video. I'm like, I'm trying to teach that guy how to play the game and you. Why are you watching memes on your phone?
To be fair, I did that while you were explaining the rules to Battlelore, and I still knew more than our commander did.
And the funny thing is, he had played the game before.
I know.
Who was your commander?
Ryan Ortiz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude,
we voted him in democracy style because it was like he's played before, so clearly he'll be good. And he was like, I don't know. I was like, come on, man.
There was one point where you were like, hey, Commander, what should I do? What should I do here? He's like, it's your side. You just deal with it.
And then he's like, and you get one command action this turn. I'm like,
I guess I'll do barely anything.
With most first-time plays, I just accept that I'm not going to know what I'm doing. And if I end up doing well, that's great. And if I end up not doing well, I didn't know what I was doing. And that's obviously the teacher's fault.
I mean, I still had fun, and the game played very well. It was just, I I honestly, even if I were the commander, I don't know what I would have done differently. Hopefully, it would have just been like Ryan would have had the giant rock monster that shoots a ballista at people and would actually roll the die to hit things, as opposed to me, where it's like it swings wide and destroys a building, and it's like, well.
Yeah, you guys got messed up by a little bit of bad dice rolling there. It's like I was because we post all of our videos from like our games that we stream on YouTube, so people can like go back and watch them if they're into watching that sort of thing. But I was uploading it onto YouTube, and I saw AJ was just rolling the dice and like rolling all these hits and like good rolls, and then as soon as they were rolling them for real, just bricks, nothing good. I was like, he wasted it, man. He wasted it.
Yeah. That's the one thing. Dice can be crazy. Once it matters, your juju can go away. I've played Battle Lore, but the Game of Thrones edition, the Battle of Westeros, that's a lot of fun. I haven't played Battle Lore Battle.
Yeah, it's very similar. There's a lot of different games in that command and color system, which uses like basically you have limited movements with your troops, and you have your right flank and your left flank and your center, and you just have to try to like go out and kill people and claim objectives and all sorts of things. It's a very simple game for like miniatures games, but it's also like very, I don't know. It feels epic with all the miniatures and stuff on the board. So,
yeah.
I one time created my own zombie side, an epic zombie side. It was 9 feet by 4 feet. I used all of the seasons that I had, and we had over 200.
How long did it take to play that?
At the 4-hour mark, because Season 3 had just come out, and Season 3 has a player versus player rules, and so like after 4 hours, we got tired and we just started killing each other. Because no one was going for the objective, because I literally made it way too hard. I ran out of zombie figures, and I have over 230 zombies. Ran out of zombies. They were all on the board. It was ridiculous. And so we just like, you know what, screw it, I'm going to die, so I'm going to kill you too.
Yeah. The epic battle lore game that we played only lasted like after the rules introduction. It was only like an hour and a half, which for a 6-player game with as big of a board and as many miniatures were on the board, it was pretty good.
That's not that bad. Good.
Yeah.
It actually felt very well timed, because we sat down with 6 players and then had 3 more people show up like 10 minutes after we started playing, and I was like, man, this is gonna be like a 3-hour game. And they're just going to be like, okay, guys, well, I'll just hang out in your kitchen and eat all the food.
Well,
but, it worked out.
Nice. So, Isaac, have you been playing anything? I know you just were on a big move.
Yeah, well, actually, last week we had our first game night, which was pretty fantastic. We had some of the Board with Life guys come over and teach us some new games. And I got a chance to play Dogs of War for the first time, which I've been wanting to play since BGG-Con last year. Yes. And it's a tight little game. I mean, it's definitely a different type of game from Cool Mini or Not. There's miniatures in that game, but it's not necessary at all. It's pretty much just worker placement with some interesting kind of negotiation and battle. But it's like a super simple game to get into. Nice. And it has a lot of interesting nuances, and there's just lots of table talk and arguing back and forth, and it's like, oh, why'd you side with that guy, and why'd you go here? Because what you're doing is you're taking these different generals that are controlling kind of their own mercenary teams, and you're siding them with different houses that are at war with each other. So that's all you're doing. You're just going ahead and placing your different units. I'm going to side with this house and this house, and everybody has like these secret objectives that they want to side with this house, and they want that house to have this overarching win. But there's also other ways to gain victory points, and it's just really neat. I was very surprised, and I thought it was going to be a totally different game from the title of Dogs of War, but it's a super neat game, and I'm very interested in playing it again. But being a game designer, that never happens.
Hey, how are the Board with Life crew? Are they a lot of fun?
Oh yeah, oh man, they're just a hoot. Every single time we get an opportunity to hang out with them, we always have a blast, and they're just hilarious and just jive really well with everybody here. That's awesome. It's a good time.
Now, are they stationed in Texas also?
Yeah, they're kind of scattered a little bit everywhere here in the Dallas area, but most of them are here in the Texas area, and they're a lot of fun to hang out with.
Yeah, y'all moving down there made y'all closer to a lot of your friends.
Yes, that's true. We have Jerry and Jerry who designed Mice and Mystics, and Chad who's our sculptor in the area, and they've been hanging out with us a lot. And oh man, they're great to have around on a constant basis because most of the time we just saw them once a year at Gen Con.
Yeah.
So having them here in house just is so helpful, and it's easier to get projects done. Like Jerry's working on Tail Feathers right now, and it's just been a much faster process than when we were working so far away from each other.
Okay, real quick, and they're probably not listening to this, but now that you see them more in-house, are you like, okay, that's annoying? Like, Jerry,
they have yet to get there for me. They're still new. Now the people that we brought with us from Ohio, well,
Yeah.
I have stories. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Everybody's pretty awesome here. We're very lucky.
Nice. So Matt, what have you been playing?
Yeah. Well, the thing I'm mostly excited about is we played the original Werewolf last Friday, and I had never played it before, and I was like, hey, this game's actually pretty neat. So I've been so used to playing One Night Ultimate Werewolf, which is, a faster-paced game, that playing regular Werewolf with, what was it, 9 people overall, I think, at the end of it. I don't know, it was just a different experience. Like, it felt good. I don't know what to say other than that. I imagine most of the people who are listening to this know what Werewolf is, because it's one of those games that's, like, as old as time.
How long did you stay in the game?
I won a round as a werewolf. Again, thanks to Ryan Ortiz's sweet throws every time.
We played 3 games.
I think I won all 3 because the villagers won the other 2, right?
Yes, I was on the werewolves team the first 2 times, and the seer saw me both times and was like, that guy's a werewolf. And, like, I had him fooled until, like, the seer goes, hey, that's them. And then you're just like, what do I do? Because everyone knows that I'm not the seer, so I can't be like, no, I'm the seer. It's kind of a little bit too late, but,
yeah,
it was pretty fun. And then the last game I played the moderator, so that's always fun, too. It's pretty interesting that, like, you played regular Werewolf after playing One Night, because everybody else has the opposite experience playing regular Werewolf and then playing One Night. So
exactly. Like, even people I know who don't play board games have played, like, Werewolf or Mafia or, like, that style of, like, social deduction game. And, like, for me it's like, oh, huh, I guess I'm just late to the party then.
You're like, I played this one that was like 10 minutes long.
Had a lot of knocking. There was a phone talking to me.
Yeah, those games are awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So I guess we will go ahead and get into our topic, which is Isaac Vega.
I'm a topic. Yay.
Yes.
Perfect.
Awesome. So our first question is, how did you get involved with Plaid Hat Games?
Well, this is a story I wish I didn't have to tell so much. But when I first started getting into board games, I decided to, like, start making some. And just by random chance, my mom went to church with Colby, and she's like, oh, I know this boy at church who makes board games. And I'm like, sure you do, Mom. He's probably this weirdo that lives in his mother's basement. Meanwhile, I'm living in my parents' house.
Making board games.
Exactly. So she brings home a business card one day, and I'm like, okay, he has a business card. Obviously, he's legit. So I check him out online, and it's like, okay, Summoner Wars, all right, they're releasing Dungeon Run. Okay, so hey, they're let me see. Maybe I'll go ahead and go over and meet with him and see if he's interested in what I'm working on. So I come over with this terrible mover roll and move game. That's pretty much that he tells me is good and I should keep working on. It's not until later that I find out that he thought it was terrible. So that was very nice of him because it encouraged me to continue forward. And a few months after getting to know him and trying to, just continuing that relationship, I ended up sitting down with him one night and talking to him about my idea for City of Remnants, and he was like, "Stop what you're doing on that other game and start working on this one because this one sounds awesome." Yeah. So I started working on City of Remnants, and pretty much soon after he signed it, and from that point on, I just kind of continued working with Plaid Hat Games and making sure that I was at every event that I could possibly be at, and trying to volunteer and help out as much as possible. And almost 2 years ago, I got hired on full time. So it's just been a roller coaster ride, and just kept going to conventions and being helpful, and kept designing and helping out with the growth of the company. So that's kind of how I got associated with everybody.
What's your actual title now there?
I am the lead game designer and art director here at Plaid Hat Games.
Nice.
Yeah.
How long did you end up like hanging around and just helping out and like trying to do designs and stuff like that before they actually were like, "Hey, yeah, we'll hire you"?
Well, it was mostly just Colby at the time because Jerry was still in Texas, and Bistro was in Virginia, I think. So everybody else was kind of far, far away. So I was kind of his only guy that was around besides just his regular friend pool with people that he grew up with, that was really passionate about not just having this be a fun side thing, but actually a career. So I went to every convention he asked me to go to. I went, and I helped him pack boxes, with every opportunity they had. And I, went to every single game night that he decided to host, and made sure that I had as much presence there with him as possible, so I could go ahead and learn, because I didn't know anything about the industry. I started designing games when I was 6 months into playing them, so I was very much a noob, and still very much feel a noob compared to some people that are, have been part of this industry. And it was just every opportunity that I had, I got to, I tried to take advantage of, and play test my own games and get in front, and keep gaming, because I loved it, and I still do, and that's pretty much how the entire process went.
That's awesome.
What did you do before you got involved with Plaid Hat?
Oh my gosh, so many things. I worked in insurance, and I was kind of a social worker, and I had my own photography business at one time. It's just a roller coaster ride of things that I did after I dropped out of college, which I went to college for making video games. Okay,
so you have like a design background. It wasn't just like
kind of. I mean, I have a year of a design background.
You know how to use Adobe Photoshop.
Yes, I do. But that's mostly from being a photographer, not from video game school. Video game school was very much 3D Max, and listening to my professors tell me about how you're never going to make it in the video game world because no one's going to listen to your ideas. Yep. So that was very discouraging.
So you decided you had to break into the board game world.
Exactly, that I didn't know existed.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, so you took like several months off, pretty much, right? For just
during the last leg there, after City of Remnants and BioShock had been signed, and I was working on Dead of Winter, I decided that I was going to take an entire year off of working.
That's crazy.
and try to make this pan out and work as an actual career. And I rented an office with my brothers and just kind of hunkered down and made sure that I'm just going to keep designing. I'm going to keep designing. I'm going to keep designing. I'm going to keep designing and working on my designs and moving forward. And at that time, I was all over the place with my designs. I kept designing, big things, little things, a whole bunch of different types of things that all ended up on my bottom shelf right here as games to work on, or that will never be worked on in the future. But Dead of Winter ended up becoming this, really solid thing. And right after its release, I believe I got hired before Dead of Winter released. But yeah, it was something that I ended up focusing a lot of time to. And other designs as well. Ashes was also developed during that time period. too. So there's a lot of things that I put priority into this, and luckily it paid off. I don't suggest it to anyone. I had a lot of debts during that time period, but I was young and I was stupid, and why not?
Yeah.
Hey, but you went for it though, and it's paying off.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, and it's definitely paid off. I mean, it was worth it. I'm so happy with how things are.
I'm super excited that Plaid Hat's doing so good to allow like designers like you and like the other people that they're bringing on to make these games, because they started as such a small little company with like one game that was Colby's idea, and it's just gotten huge and doing amazing things now.
You are not a small company anymore. I mean,
no, I mean,
when you think of the different games in like just Mice and Mystics and Dead of Winter and Summoner Wars, I mean, those are huge games, and you're getting bigger, and like everybody knows about Plaid Hat now. Like, does that put a lot of pressure on you? Because you know, the whole space theme is coming out with the next Crossroad cards. Like,
now
are you guys feeling it?
That is definitely, yeah, I'm definitely feeling a little bit of pressure there, because, you know, when everybody did the votes, you know, we had all these different ideas, and people decided on Lost in Space, which is great, you know, awesome, Lost in Space, but Dead of Winter is a game that's already being compared to Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
And here's the next iteration where we're essentially going to be trying to do, you know, establish that feeling that we had with Dead of Winter and put it into space, which is only more so going to be compared to Battlestar Galactica, and I do realize that. Yeah. So I'm trying to provide a more unique experience. I'm also trying to make sure that we have all of those great feelings that you got from Dead of Winter and put them in this game as well, and stay true to the Crossroads series. And also not just take Dead of Winter and put it in space. I don't want alien zombies and have the exact same mechanic. So I've went through 4 different versions of it and have continued developing it. We had almost thought it was there, and then completely scrapped it, and now it's now starting over again. So there's a lot of different pressures there to make sure that we're developing something that is going to stay true to the series. Yeah. You know, with all of the different changes and things that are happening at Plaid Hat Games, and you know, all of the other things that take up time in the job, it is a lot of stuff, but it's also a fun challenge to tackle, because I love the potential of the Crossroads series. There's so much cool stuff that we can do with it, and we won't release a game until it's as good or better than Dead of Winter. Period.
Cool.
That's awesome.
I did vote for the Underground edition. I did not vote for the Lost in Space.
And we plan to work on all of them. You know, I mean, it's like
that's cool.
It's definitely something that, you know, all of those ideas were the reason that we just chose them to put up to the vote were because we were inspired by the idea, you know. So we have inspirations and hope to move forward with all of them. But Lost in Space is the first one. That's what the people want.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm gonna give them.
That is the game I am probably most excited about. It just, like, I've only played Dead of Winter once, because I'm still relatively new to this whole hobby, but I played it and was like, holy crap, this is amazing. This is awesome. And then they were like, hey, it's there's one that's coming out, but it's going to be in space. And I'm like, I love space! This is great!
Yeah,
so are you guys going to have a cat in space rather than a dog or a monkey or something like that? Like, what's the animal?
Spoilers. Animal and robot or things. Yeah. I can't tell you. I can't commit to anything right now.
I just love when Sparky gets the guns in the police station. And
so do
that's my favorite Crossroad.
It's so funny how polarized people are on Sparky. It's just hilarious to us. But that's me and John's sense of humor. So Sparky stays.
Nice.
It's good.
So, what is your overall goal when designing a board game?
Really, it's to stay true to the theme and to the feeling that I wanted what inspired me. You know, with Dead of Winter, it was very much creating this zombie game that was more about that gave you the feeling that you saw when you saw a zombie movie or a show like The Walking Dead. It gave you that feeling of being in a colony, being with these people that you didn't know, being torn against each other because of the fact that you're just different people and have different goals. And that was very much the goal there. With Ashes, it was to create something that gave me that nostalgia of my childhood of playing, Magic or Dragon Ball Z, the CCG, and creating something that would be accessible and beautiful and, new for people that didn't necessarily have as big of a budget to get involved in some of these games that, like Magic or things that are, any of the CCGs that have come out, and still be competitive, and still feel like they have an edge and they understand the system. And I very much wanted to create something that was about the way you play the game, not about what you could afford to buy.
Yeah. That's one of the things we're like really big about, like in my game group. We're very much like thematic people. Some people they're like Euro games where it's all about who gets the most points and like extreme strategy. We're all about like the interaction between the other players and the theme and the story you tell from the games. That's one of the reasons why so many of the Plaid Hat games are on the table, because like you guys build story games and things that have a lasting impact after the game is over.
Yeah.
And I personally, I love building worlds. I mean, that's when I left high school and went into video game college. The reason I did that is because I had a story to tell. I wanted to and the story is still in the back of my head, and I still want to tell it, and it's there, and that's why I went there. And when I came into board games, I found it as another opportunity to take an entire story, build a world, and put it in a box. And that's where my inspiration lies. I mean, City of Remnants is definitely, there's story there, and with Ashes and Dead of Winter, there's a story there. That's where I get inspired from. Who are these characters? What do they do? And what is their play? And how can we make that come through? And with each different game presents that in a different way, but that's what makes me love being a designer, and I want to keep doing that because I have all these crazy characters and things in my head that need to get out on paper or I'm going to go insane. So and it's my way of doing it because I'm a terrible writer.
Well, we definitely appreciate it. I mean, that's
Very
one thing
much
that
so.
I can definitely say, being a Plaid Hat fan, is I definitely become involved with whoever I'm playing and what I'm playing. Like, it's not a pasted on theme. Like, you can tell that you guys, you care about what you just said, that world. Like, okay, we are in this world, we are doing these things. Like, I just played Spectre Ops, and I know Emerson, had a bigger hand on that than you guys, but still, I really felt like I was a spy and my wife was trying to kill me, and she almost did. Because she was a hunter. And same thing with Dead of Winter. Like, we really freak out. Like, Roy was yelling at me, like, help us out, man. We need some
I was like,
food.
dude, we gotta feed the people.
Like, come on. I mean, I get so wrapped up into it. I appreciate it.
I was like, if you
so
don't
much.
do this, you must be the traitor because you want us to fail.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's funny that you bring up Spectre Ops because with Spectre Ops, what it originally was, so we sat down at PAX and we played Spectre Ops for the first time, and it's like, oh my gosh, this has such a cool feeling. You feel like a spy, you feel like there's a hunter there.
Oh, yeah.
But there was no theme. Like with what Emerson was working, it was very generic spy thing, and we wanted to take it to the level of Metal Gear Solid. So that's why we brought it on, because it was like, Emerson, let us do this. Let us make it an interesting world, and that's where the world came from. And a lot of the Spectre Ops world, it is a collaboration between me and Colby and developing these characters and making that world come to life. And Emerson has super solid design skills and mechanics, and that just made the entire game sing.
That's awesome, because like one of the things that I was really excited about looking at that game is like the amazing like miniatures and the different character types, because there's some other hidden movement games, but they feel a little bit more generic because all I've played is like Letters from Whitechapel or whatever, and it's very like just mechanics, but this has like these cool items and like story, and like it seems pretty
and
cool.
that's what we want to bring out of it, because that's what we definitely saw there. We saw a great game, but we made it a Plaid Hat game.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now all you need is like to have the Metal Gear Solid sound whenever like you get spotted. Exactly. Oh no!
Just have your phone on the table and you're
Smoke
just like,
bomb.
What?
Nice. So, what are some of your biggest game design challenges when you're designing a game?
Well, I spoke a little bit about what's currently going on. I mean, really, it's that sophomore pressure, I guess.
Yeah.
With Dead of Winter, it was a success that we never could have anticipated. And it's also something that we're promising not only a great one game. We're promising a series of awesome games. So, and it's like we definitely want to live up to that expectation. So that's why I'm taking so much care in making sure that the thing that I'm working on is living up to that expectation. And if it's not, start over. It needs some fresh blood. Let's go ahead and work on this again and get that there, because we want to make sure that this becomes a unique and inspiring and another piece in the Crossroads series that really solidifies it as a series, So that right now is my design challenge, making sure that, living up to that expectation. And not only that, that thing doesn't freak me out as much. It's just making sure that I'm juggling all of the different ideas in my head, as well as, the expectations of what I need to do with what I've already established. Yeah. So Dead of Winter is getting an expansion as well, and I'm working on that right now too. And it's also, and we're working on the Crossroads series. Ashes is definitely a game built for expansions, so there's expansions on that, working as well. And then I have these awesome other games that I want to work on too. And those I'm taking some extra time and making sure I get those worked on, because I'm just not a one design kind of guy. I don't stick to a system. I tend to do things very, very different from one design to the next, and it's a lot of work. but it's always fun. It keeps things fresh for me, and I have a good time doing it.
That's awesome. So, what inspired you to design Dead of Winter and Ashes?
Well, with Dead of Winter, it was very much sitting down, and John had a zombie type game when I sat down at his game group, and he had this interesting concept of like, hey, I want to have people be able to betray each other, and there's different locations that you can go to and stuff like that. But John's game was very much very, 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 very different from what Dead of Winter turned into. But it got my brain burning like crazy when I sat down and played. And I was just like, John, you're my friend. Let me go ahead and take what you got here and do whatever I want to. So I came back the next game day and introduced, you control more than one character and you have all these cool things, and from that point on we went back and forth on different things that we were looking at, and then it's just making sure that these characters and the theme and everything was coming through, because every zombie game I'd played before then was very much, to me, felt I'm going to run around hack and slash a zombie. Yep. You know what I mean? And it just didn't scream the theme of what a zombie universe I felt was, and especially that was a time when Walking Dead was just starting to be huge hits. It was, announcing the series, and it was, and it's like, this is the reason that series was successful, because they focused on these characters and developing these characters. So how can we do that in a board game? And that was very much the inspiration there. And with Ashes was, like I said earlier, like the inspiration was middle school Isaac.
Nice.
And it's like when I got together with some of my friends, and they had these Dragon Ball Z decks and these Magic decks, and it's like, oh, this is a card game. I like playing this is interesting. And they just give me some extra cards and play a deck against me, and I was like, I can make my own deck. I can start doing this kind of stuff. And very much doing that is kind of being a designer yourself. You're taking these tools and you're making something out of it to compete. And I was just like, I got a little bit of the bug, but with my parents' financial situation and where I was in life, I couldn't afford to buy any pack. Like, I could get a pack, maybe like a couple packs a year. You know what I mean? And most of the stuff that I had was by the kindness of my friends, and my friends weren't that kind. So most of my stuff was crap. And they had these awesome cards. They had these awesome protective sleeves, and you know, and it's just like all these holofoils, and it's like I have none of that. Like, so I wanted, with Ashes, I wanted to build a game that gave me that feeling of these epic characters fighting against each other, and developing this awesome team and bringing out these cool units and having these awesome spells, and pretty much tweaking the systems that I've seen in the past and making it my own, and also making it an affordable package. I wanted resources to be accessible throughout all of the game. I wanted players to be able to start on the footing that they intended their decks to start on, because I have been screwed over by multiple CCGs on like, oh, well, I built this to work this way, but I never drew any of the card combinations that worked out. And maybe I'm just a terrible deck builder. But
no. That's actually one of the reasons why I quit playing Magic, because of the mana draw. I hated when I draw like 7 mana in a row.
Right. So I wanted players to, it's like, I have my resources, I have my cards, I am going to battle you, but I also didn't want it to be something like completely overwhelming where you have access to everything at the same time. I wanted it to be, something that was able to get players quickly fighting and building up their character and still being able to ramp up throughout the game. And those are all the reasons that I developed Ashes. And it's like pretty much to please myself. that's I made a game that I really want to play.
Nice. That's the best way to do it. Make something you yourself would like and hope everybody else likes it. And in your case, I think it's doing very well.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I come from like a long like CCG background, playing like Redemption and like Magic and all that stuff. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see like your take on that. And I definitely am very intrigued by you start with specific cards in your hand, and then there's all sorts of ways to manipulate the resources by discarding cards or discarding the top of your deck and things like that.
Right.
Seems really cool.
I love the dice idea. I think that is so awesome. I'm really excited about that.
When I originally started designing, I hated dice. I was like, oh my gosh, they're just so random, and they're so weird. And Colby was the one who turned me on to the magic of dice, the drama of dice. And since then, I haven't designed a single game without dice. So, it's like, I love dice too. And
curse that dice in Dead of Winter. Ugh.
Yeah, exactly.
The very first time I ever played Dead of Winter was actually, I got the game before Gen Con, but I played it at Gen Con for the very first time. My very first roll was the Tooth. Very first roll ever playing the game. In fact, I was the very first player.
Oh, man.
Were you moving to a location with another character, so did they have to roll and see if they died too?
No, I was the very first guy to roll in the colony, and I had the mayor, and I was taking him to the police station. And I was like, boom, I'm just going to run to the police station, rolled the dice, like, not even a minute in the game. And the guy's like, oh, yeah, that Tooth, that means your guy's dead. That's it. He's dead. You can't save him. You can't help him. There's no healing medkit.
That is the way. That is the way to start Dead of Winter, to understand.
Oh yeah.
the peril that you're in.
It's very realistic to a zombie apocalypse. Like, you're going from here to there. There's going to be zombies, and they're going to bite you.
Well, and that's what would happen if you get bit. You would die. I mean, there's no reason to milk it. That's what I love about it. So, anyway.
Nice.
Next question.
So, are there any projects that you have passed on that you wish that you didn't?
Now, projects that I've passed on, I haven't really passed on projects. I mean, there's nothing that I regret. Okay. Gotcha. There have been projects that have been offered to us. BioShock definitely opened the door to other people wanting to work with us and work on other IPs. But I don't think anything's come along that was definitely like, oh my gosh, we need to work on this, you know? And yeah, I don't have any regrets about passing. In fact, I kind of just don't want to work on IPs mostly. I mean, would have to be the best type of project. It would have to be the best, like something I've loved forever for me to want to really work on it again. Because right now I'm kind of at the point where I have so many of my own ideas that I just kind of don't want to work on anybody else's. Right. So and I've been holding off on a lot of my own stuff for the last 2 years, you know, so I kind of just want to get those done, and maybe if I get bored later on and those are done, and then I'll feel differently. But right now, I have so much stuff that I need to get done on my own.
Everybody in chat is flipping out because your camera went gray, and they're like, "Oh no, the beard is gone! Bring the beard back!"
Oh, sorry. Do you
think you could turn it off and turn it back on?
There we go. There we go. It's back, right?
Yeah.
No?
It's still gray currently.
Well, hey, do you mind if I ask you a question?
Oh, am I back now?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
You guys can calm down. The beard is back.
Thank you.
Everybody said that they were fanboying when, as soon as they realized this is the designer of Dead of Winter, and they're all like squeeing in chat. So when is Colby gonna allow you to make a game based on an anime?
Well, I'm the art director now.
Nice.
So I think it's really gonna have to be the right game to give it that kind of style, because we really haven't established that very much of that style at our company. But
right.
there is a slew of artists that I have in my back pocket that I want to use that do have an awesome and sick anime style, and there is a game that I am currently working on that could totally fits.
Nice.
But we'll see. We'll see. I have to get. It's gonna probably be somewhere in between comic book and anime style, somewhere in between there too. Which is personally kind of like the style I like. I don't like super giant eyes or craziness, or princess whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm more of the serious kind of. I've been a big fan of Full Metal Alchemist style. That's pretty much like my favorite type of anime style, which it's still kind of proportionally right, and it has some silliness to it, but it's very slick and cool too.
That's one of the things you got to get those guys on board, is just like the storytelling in those anime shows is just ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
So,
and that's the thing. Colby hasn't seen good anime. and here's the thing too. Like, I feel like such a bad anime fan. Like, I barely like most of the new stuff that I watch these days. Like, my brothers watch everything. They watch everything, and I only watch like the cream of the crop. It has to have good characters. that traditional anime girl that just screams in the background can't be there anymore for me. Like, pretty much like what I like right now is Attack on Titan, and everybody likes Attack on Titan, so that's not anything unique.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. Like, it's like Attack on Titan, Full Metal Alchemist, Trigun, and Naruto. It's just like the boy animes that are like really popular. So I'm like, somebody make a good game on one of these, but you know.
All right, I'm gone again, ain't I?
Yep.
All right, I'll try to get back.
Now Matt disappeared.
Oh no.
Okay.
Perfect.
My
both
internet.
the beards.
It's all good.
So Isaac, I got a quick question. So you were talking earlier about designing your own IPs. Do you, and this, I'm not meaning this in a bad way, please don't take it, but like, do you like the idea of designing your own IPs because it's safe in the fact that you're the only one with that expectation? Like, if you did, for example, Star Wars, everyone already has their own passion and story and background with Star Wars for whatever, but like, by you creating your own world, there's no anticipation of what it should be. Like, it's 100% you. Does that kind of push you more to creating your own IPs rather than jumping on somebody else's expectations?
I wouldn't say that that's a driver for me, but it is easier. I'm not gonna lie. There's definitely things that I can go ahead and move around or change if a certain mechanic feels weird or something doesn't quite line up with the thing that I'm actually presenting. I can go ahead and just change the world a little bit. And I'm one that I really like to stay true to what I'm presenting. You know, I want to stay as close as possible to someone else's IP because someone else took all this time in developing this story and this property, and they took a lot of thought and process, especially in the case of BioShock Infinite. I mean, they took a lot of time in developing that, and staying true to that hindered me in some areas. I'm not gonna lie. There are some things that I wouldn't have necessarily put in the game if it wasn't true to the theme. You know what I mean? Right. But because it was true to the theme, I kept it. So maybe that's definitely something that it's easier to design with your own IPs. Now, there are certain IPs that I wouldn't care. That wouldn't be a hurdle. Just like because I'm like, oh man, the challenge of doing that is also something that would be amazing because here is an opportunity to present something in a light my way, also too. I get to go ahead and help tell another version of this story. Like if someone said, hey, you want to design a game for Game of Thrones? I would be like, yeah, even though the Game of Thrones games are great. They've done a great job. So that's where my biggest concern would be. If someone already did the board game and they did a fantastic job, then I'd be scared out of my mind.
Okay, but please do that, even though I know FFG has that license. But
I was say, the person that designed that was the CEO of Fantasy Flight, so you'll have to talk to him about it.
They did like a character-driven Game of Thrones game, because right now it's just really area control.
And then the card game.
Oh my goodness! If you have like a character-driven Game of Thrones game, that would be like so ridiculous. That would be amazing. I would buy 10 copies.
Game of Thrones Crossroads game, anyone? That would be amazing. But also a lot of pressure.
Nice. So what is your personal favorite board game?
Now this is the one question on your list that I was like dreading. I was like, I hate answering this question because the truth is I don't have one. The thing is that like I get a very limited opportunity to play other board games outside of what I'm currently working on. We try to go ahead and play something new every time we have game night, and game night has been sporadic and crazy over the last 2 months with the move, or 3 months with the move and everything that's been going on. So I got opportunities to play at John's Game Days when I went, but things have been so nuts I haven't been able to go for 6 months, and now that's no longer an opportunity because I'm no longer in Ohio. So it's very hard for me to play something consistently. I don't play anything over and over and over and over and over again. For me to say that, oh, this is my favorite game, or and because of that, I hate I hate this question. Like the one game that I'll play over and over again is Fiasco, but that doesn't count because it's not technically a board game. But it's in kind of the same realm of what we do, and it's not really a game. Actually, it's kind of just an improv sesh where everybody just gets to make funny jokes and make a story up. But it's just such an energetic experience for me. It's something that I do actually try to play consistently.
It definitely makes a lot of sense, seeing that you really want to come from this world-building, storytelling background, that Fiasco would be a game that you really like.
Right, but the worlds that I build in Fiasco, that can never be a board game. It can never actually be in public.
That's how, the one time I played Fiasco, it went real bad. Like, the person that brought the game, like, because he brought the game over, and we played it with, like, a bunch of, like, my friends, and basically, like, when he was leaving, I was like, I'm really sorry, man. I didn't realize it was going to get that dark. I didn't realize, like, where they were going to go. Like, I didn't want to act out those scenes, but, like, it was the game, so I had to, so it was just really awkward.
Exactly. one day, if anything ever happens to my career and everything's just gone, then guess what? Isaac's fiasco nights are gonna happen. But that's only if my entire perception is no longer credible.
Exactly. It's like no one wants to be around him because the things he said about that game or in that game.
Right.
It's just a game, guys. For the people that don't know, Fiasco is a game where basically you like roll dice and like there's different things that can happen. You'll be at different locations and everybody gets like different characters and basically you just tell the story as you go along in the game. I've only played it one time, so but it's very cool because you try to get points by good things and bad things happening to you during the story.
It's a good time. It's not a game for everybody. It really isn't. There are certain people that are just more in tune with playing that kind of game and getting into it than others. But man, I do love playing it, and it is a lot of fun. And it's really the only one I can honestly say that is like, oh, like this is a favorite of mine, because everything else I play once, twice, maybe.
Well, you're also still pretty new though into board games. I mean, right? You've only been playing games now for what, 3 years, 3 or 4 years?
I think it's 5 years now. I think I've been that long. Well, maybe not. Maybe it's only been 4 years. I have no idea. Somewhere around there.
That's just crazy to me, like the designs you come up with and how unique they are. That's probably, I mean, part of it is that you're not like stealing from these other ideas. Like you're making your own. Like it's crazy.
And that's the truth. I get so inspired by so many things. Like I don't know. I've never tried. Never tried. And every time I get the opportunity, I love playing new games. I really do. Every time someone's willing to teach me something new or that I've heard is like, oh, that's interesting. And so if anybody's like, hey, I really like this game, sit down and play it, unless it's a co-op, unless it's a pure dry co-op, then I'll totally play it. But like, the only reason I say that about co-ops is that that's not necessarily true either. It just depends on the type of co-op. I'll definitely try it out.
And the people you're playing with.
And the people I'm playing with as well. That's really the key. Yeah. But if anybody's enthusiastic about a game and is like, I'm interested in it. Because if there's a person that's enthusiastic, I want to know why. You know, a perfect example of this is Tales of Arabian Nights.
Oh my goodness.
I knew from the description of Tales of Arabian Nights that it wouldn't be something that I necessarily get into because I'm not a huge fan of Betrayal on the House of the Haunted Hill. I always get that name wrong. I'm not a huge fan of that game because I feel like it's just you move and something happens to you, but people love that game, and I played that game quite a bit of times because I wanted to know why. I wanted to know why people love it, and I figured out why, and that's the same reason I played Tales of Arabian Nights, because I wanted to figure out, why do people love this? Why do they get behind it? When in the end it's it's like, okay, I choose a number and that's what happens to me, and the reason because I played those games is the reason I made crossword cards.
Yeah.
I would have never made crossword cards if it wasn't for me playing those games. So if anybody is passionate about a game, I want to play it because I want to know why they're passionate about it, and I want to learn about it because it makes me a better designer, period.
That's awesome.
I appreciate that.
Definitely very cool.
I do have a small question that's not on the list.
Do it, man.
And I don't know if you'll be able to answer it or not. But I play a decent amount. I play a decent amount of Tabletop Simulator, which is a PC game that's like a physics sandbox that people load like mods in for the different board games and stuff.
Yes, it's been quite the talk lately.
Yeah. I was wondering how you kind of felt about that. Like, you take like a hard stance? Like, I know Steve Jackson games, anytime anything of theirs pops up on like the workshop, they're just like, oh, take it down immediately. But I mean, for the most part,
here's our stance. I have no idea that it exists. There are no such things as any of our games, such as Dead of Winter or Ashes, that's currently on Tabletop Simulator. We've never heard of the Tabletop Simulator. We don't know what you're talking about. Frankly, and if we did, well, we wouldn't tell you.
That's awesome.
Pretty much, it could be an issue for us. but right now, honestly, it's okay, and we reserve the right to say it's not okay at any single point.
Yeah.
But you know, if people are excited about our games, so much so that they're willing to create this entire simulation, and there's people playing about it, we're not suffering because, you know, Tabletop Simulator is taking a whole bunch of sales away from Dead of Winter, or I have no idea its effects on Ashes. I have no idea.
I was going to say, I know I saw Ashes on the workshop the other day, and I was like, that game's not even out yet.
Right. But, you know, people are excited enough to create it and want to play it, and right now it's okay because people are playing it and getting it and whatever, but we may not say that tomorrow, and right after this podcast, I have no idea. But frankly, I don't know what you're talking about because I've never heard of this Tabletop Simulator.
Nice.
I could see Matt going on after this. Hey guys, the creator said it's okay. We can play it, guys. Everyone.
He didn't say it's okay. He said he doesn't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
well, that's the reason I like it, is like I can load it up with like friends who just don't live around me, and I can be like, hey man, this is Dead of Winter, and then those people might be like, dude, this is something I need in real life, and like it's just an easier way to do sales than just buying a full retail copy of the game.
And if a digital version of a game out there, that's all existed, that's all we'd hope that it'd do.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Perfect. That was a good answer.
Nice. So, is there anything exciting that Plaid Hat is doing for Gen Con, or anything you guys want to talk about as far as like what you guys are doing there?
Well, we have the wonderful game Ashes that we were just talking about, releasing at Gen Con. Mm-hmm.
He's got it!
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have it.
Will it come out to pre-order people before Gen Con?
Now, here's the deal, pre-order people. Pre-order people, the current thing is it will be shipped to you before we go to Gen Con, but it may not arrive to you before you go to Gen Con. So that's what I have to say there. I apologize if that destroys you. I felt really bad when you said, I'm going to have you sign it, and I was like, oh, I don't know if you're going to get it. It might arrive the day you leave. But
Rob, here's what you do. You buy another copy, get them to sign that copy, and then give me your pre-order.
There you go.
I'm trying to drive sales for you, man.
You know, this did happen for Spectre Ops, and I may try to have this again, but when I pre-ordered Spectre Ops, Colby was doing a deal for Summoner Wars Alliances where he autographed the boxes if you pre-ordered it. So for Spectre Ops, I emailed Brian and I was like, hey, it'd be really cool if you guys signed my box. And he was like, yeah, Emerson's not in our office. And I was like, I don't care. Just if somebody at Plaid Hat would sign my box, I think that's really cool. And so, and this is one of the reasons why I love you guys so much. When I got my pre-order in of Spectre Ops, I think everybody at the office signed it. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, take all my money. I appreciate you guys so much. So I may email Brian.
So you were that guy.
I was that guy. So I may email Brian, like, look, I talked to Isaac. He said it's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I'm totally cool. I'm totally cool with signing it beforehand. It is. I'm telling you right now, like, it's coming down to it's going to be delivered down to that wire. It's so close. But we always make the effort to make sure that anybody that pre-orders a game, it will be shipped to you before we sell it at any other venue. You know, because we don't want it. I mean, you guys are the ones who are supporting everything ahead of time. We want to make sure that we get you guys the game first. Now, Gen Con is obviously, us having a game at Gen Con is very, very good for business. So, but at the same time too, you know, we want to make sure to honor the people that we do pre-orders for. So you may get it. Like I said, you may get it right beforehand, and I hope you do, because I'd love people to bring copies of Ashes and start playing at Gen Con, and not just the people that purchased it there, because supplies are going to be limited. It's looking like our pre-orders are doing very well, and pretty much what's left is what we're taking to Gen Con. So as long as, you know, if anybody's watching out there, definitely pre-order, because it's going to be the way that I can guarantee that you're going to have it and not have to wait for months. I mean, we had that entire thing that happened exactly with Dead of Winter,
right?
Because it sold out incredibly well, and Ashes is gearing up to be a decent seller for us. So hopefully, if anybody's out there is interested, it's out there. It's up on our website for pre-order. It's $15 off.
It's such a good deal to pre-order. It's such a good deal.
Yeah, it's only $34.95, and you get an extra character. And so that is not the price that it will be at Gen Con. It's going to be full price at Gen Con, and the promos will go as supply lasts. So,
and have you guys seen what that game looks like? Like the cover, the dice. It's crazy, man.
Well, the same artist that did Dead of Winter, she's so good, Fernanda.
And
right?
she's gonna be at Gen Con.
That's awesome.
And it's gonna be awesome.
Who's the art director there? No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know.
Give that guy a raise.
He's a cool guy. He comes in the office every once in a while.
So is that the big thing with you guys with Gen Con, or is there anything else? Like, I know you have your 10-foot tall sign now you guys had for Origins.
Yes,
anything
our 10 by 20 sign.
Oh my gosh.
Ashes is what we were able to get from Gen Con to Gen Con. We are going to have obviously Spectrops is going to be there as well. We'll have hopefully some more stock of Dead of Winter.
Oh snap!
I believe it just keeps selling out on us. Right now, if you order Dead of Winter, you're going to get the special Felicia Day version on our website. So definitely get that because it's awesome. And
more importantly, it has Kodiak Colby in it.
It has Kodiak Colby in it as well, and on the cover, which is cool.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have the Mice and Mystics plushies that you can get there if you guys didn't get them last year. We may have a preview of some of the miniatures for Tail Feathers.
Oh, nice.
Preview. Yeah, what were you hoping for?
Seafall.
No. Oh, Seafall.
As soon as you guys put that up for pre-order, bro, I'm not even lying. As soon as that goes up, I'm buying like 5 copies.
I know. Everybody is. Everybody is. Anybody who knows anything about board games is going to pre-order Seafall. I mean,
Rob said he's got his poop sock ready.
It's Seafall.
I do have my poop sock ready. I'm on my 8th board of Risk Legacy.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, I'm a big Rob Davio fan, and I love the whole Legacy engine and everything. And I remember that one podcast, I think it was like 10 or 15 podcasts ago, when Colby talked about having the poop sock. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm buying it.
He is an amazing designer. I aspire to be like him because he's fantastic, and he keeps coming up with interesting and great content. And he's just.
Yeah, but you're pretty awesome yourself.
No, I'm nowhere near Rob. But he's always thinking about some new and interesting stuff, and Seafall is no exception. It is amazing. It's an amazing game, but as all amazing things do, sometimes they require time and love and care to turn into the wonderful babies that they will become.
Nice.
It's gotten out of playtesting recently, maybe, and I believe it's going to have to go back into playtesting for a little bit.
Thank God, because I tried. I'm a core member, and I tried to sign up, and within an hour, I think all of the spots for Seafall were taken.
Yeah. I'm not 100% sure. There's been a lot of things. There's been a lot of things that have been obviously changing recently, and so much stuff coming up. But yeah, it's still looking like a release for next year. Most likely Gen Con, maybe a little bit earlier. So, definitely keep your eye out for it. But it's just one of those things that we need to make sure it's done, make sure it's finished.
So,
and it's
on the record, everybody, he said Gen Con next year. You can hold him to it. Yeah.
I hope that's how it works.
You never hold me to dates. I need to make a T-shirt that I am not responsible for the dates that I give out.
Everything you do from now on just comes with a small disclaimer. What I say probably isn't true.
I was just world building and storytelling.
Exactly. It's all my imagination.
Comes out. Yeah.
Yes.
All I'm trying to do is drum up hype, guys. I don't know what's going on.
Do we have time for one more question?
Sure.
Okay. What do you like to do to get in the zone, to get creative. Like for me, I like to write, and so one thing I listen to a lot of music, and that puts me in the mood to be able to get creative. And there's also one movie that every time I watch this movie, I'll go write a couple more chapters of my book, which is The Hobbit: The Desolation of Smaug. As soon as Smaug comes out, for some reason, like it clicks with me, and my book has nothing to do with anything like that. But I'm like, I need to go right now. Like as soon as that movie ends, it just clicks. What's something that you do to get in the zone to be able to create these worlds and to go in those different places?
I mean, I think you hit the nail right on the head when you say, you know, using music, using movies as inspiration. For me, it's entertainment in general.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So many things inspire me, but nothing like other people's passions. You know, and watching a good movie, hearing a good story, you know, playing a great game. All of those things just like inspire me to be better at what I do, because all of those pieces of entertainment just constantly make my brain just start spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning, you know. And even something that's terrible sometimes. I've been quoted before as designing from hate, like, because if something is just awful to me and I don't understand it, I'm just like, I don't understand why people would ever like this thing. And it's like, oh, I'm gonna make it better. Dang it!
That's awesome.
So I'm all over the place, honestly. Like it's sometimes just, you know, being at a grocery store and zoning out and thinking about something else and then hitting someone with a shopping cart.
Sorry, I was designing a board gaming in my head.
Shopping cart wars coming out next year.
Nice.
But yeah, it's for me, it's definitely all over the place, but definitely seeing good art, entertainments, all of those things are inspiring, and I don't know, just make you have hope for, you know, like, wow, look at what they were able to accomplish, you know. And it's like that one person was able to accomplish, you know. And it's like, and here I have I'm so blessed to have such a great team here at Plaid Hat Games, and every single one of them being inspiring people and able to continue lifting each other up, and, you know, trying to be better than the last thing that we did. So, and it's like everything, you know, has the potential of being that nugget of inspiration. And you know, sometimes I can't tell you where it comes from. It just happens. Dreams are also a thing for me.
No. I can definitely relate to that. I've done some things based off of dreams that I had. Not always good, but
right.
Yeah. Okay.
That's awesome.
Well, cool.
Okie doke, guys. Well, I guess that's pretty much been a podcast. Guys, make sure to check us out live. We stream the podcast on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at www.twitch.tv/Epic Gaming Night. Make sure to like and follow us and subscribe to us on all our different things, and check out the podcast on iTunes as well. Isaac, where can they find you?
They can find me on Twitter at Isaac's Ashes. They can also email me if they have any questions, Isaac@plaidhatgames.com, and obviously you can always get connected with us there at plaidhatgames.com.
Nice. So yeah, make sure to check out all the stuff that Plaid Hat is doing. There's a lot of awesome stuff going on there. But yeah. So that's pretty much going to be a podcast, guys. Does anybody have anything else to say before we leave?
We will see you at Gen Con, and I will take another awkward picture with you like I did last year.
Woo! Love awkward pictures.
Nice.